I've had this conversation with my chat. I've had many clips of this go viral where I talk about how money doesn't hit the same as it used to. Even today, I said that $1 million isn't a lot. And what's crazy is people don't understand why I'm saying that. And the reason why I'm saying that is $1 million today, comparatively to what it was in the 1990s, $1 million today, $1 million in 1990s was the same as around $2.6 million of today. $1 million was enough where you could quit your job and live off it and live lavishly your entire life in the 1990s. Today, the average human life costs $3.3 million living modestly. $1 million doesn't even take care of a third of your life. And I think it's crazy how inflation has gotten so terrible that essentially what used to be expected of a normal life, which is, and I'm sure you guys all thought about this, when you think of a normal life, you think you work a job, you get a wife, you have 3 kids, you have a house, and you have a car, maybe even a dog. Nope, that's not the normal life anymore. The new life is you work until you're 70, you stay single, you live in a bachelor apartment, and then you die. There's a phrase that I often like saying, which is, life sucks and then you die. And with the current economy, it's exactly that. I think it's horrifying, and I hate to be doomer-pilled about this, but $1 million really doesn't hit like it used to. And I want to remind you guys, in the 1990s, a double cheeseburger at McDonald's was 75 cents. In 2025, it's $4.18. It is getting harder and harder for the everyday average Joe to live, and I think that's fucking terrible. Not to mention the government is taking 12% of the money that people earning below $35,000 a year make, and I think that's fucking ridiculous. So let's watch a video. 1955 versus 2025. Who actually had it better? Let's see how it was, and let's see how it is.
I lived in 1955. Here I am in 1975 and 1995, 2015,
yep,
and then today. I'm going to put myself in the shoes of a middle income earner in all of these decades.
Hell yeah.
To answer a very important question about the United States. Is the average American better off today than they were all these decades ago?
Prediction? I think we're fucked. I think the average quality of life on the normal human being is the lowest it's ever been. That's my opinion. So thank God we have this phone rotting away our brain to distract us from how depressing and miserable the actuality of today's world is.
Does the typical American make more money, have a better chance of owning a home? It's an important question because this graph shows...
Yeah, imagine owning a home in 2025 while not being a millionaire. Yeah, fucking right. Even I, to be fair, my net worth is probably 2, maybe 3 mil. Even me, I'm considering renting. There is no way the normal American is buying a house in 2025. Yeah, fucking right. Not to mention loans being 7% interest right now is insane.
That our economy has grown immensely since the 50s. I mean, we've got the largest economic pie on Earth. And even when you account for inflation and the fact that our population has grown, you still see immense growth. I mean, look at this. We've added tons of prosperity in this country that theoretically every person is entitled to some part of. Or, as some economists put it, has our country produced shared prosperity?
When I think about how well the economy delivers, I think about how well it delivers for the people,
of course,
for the workers and their families. How well are they receiving that prosperity?
I'm going to show you how all of this economic prosperity we've created has been shared or not shared.
Maybe I'm just doomer-pilled. I really feel like we're fucked. I really do think we're fucked.
And
yo, Chad, I want you to be honest. Type 1 if you have under $1,000 in your bank account. Type 2 if you have more than $1,000 in your bank account. I really feel like the majority of people are living paycheck to paycheck.
In all of this, I want to get to the bottom of perhaps one of the most important questions in our country, which
everybody who typed 2, I want you to gift me 10 subs right now.
Is everyone able to move up? If they work hard enough or if they get educated, can you climb the economic ladder here?
Are you going to do better than your parents? Can you reach higher levels of income? Can you change your relative position?
The American dream, we sometimes call it. A, quote, dream of a better, richer, happier life for all citizens of every rank. Is that still alive?
Hell
if not,
no.
why? I believe that answering these key questions is incredibly important
Hell
for the future
no.
of this country, which is why we
It's fucking so much worse than that, because now women don't want to be trad wives. No woman wants to have kids, and men can't make enough money to support a wife and kids. So everybody's fucked.
We've been deep in all of the data, and I'm going to try to lay it out as clearly as possible by traveling through time. As always, all of the assertions in this video are...
I think the normal American life is working 9 to 5 that you don't like in an apartment. I do. And I think apartments are like a bunch of mini cages. I do. It's like when you go to the pound and all of these dogs are being kept in these small little cages. That's what I think of apartment living. It's a bunch of little cages to take care of as many fucking dogs as you possibly can, working a job they hate so they don't lose their mind. I type 2 but don't believe in subs. Is this okay? Bro, Hatch and Slay, they was $100, bro. I appreciate that, man. Thank you, man.
Fact checked and
That's
linked
huge.
in our sources. So with that, let's start traveling back in time.
Can't repeat the past. Why, of course you can.
Okay, so I'm traveling back towards the 1950s. As we move through time, I'm going to be keeping an eye on this main graph. This graph is kind of our anchor. It will be showing how the economy has grown over time. And again, it's adjusted for prices and population growth. When this graph goes up, it means that there's more economic prosperity to go around. We're going to see how it gets divided up. And for each decade, I'm going to be looking at these 4 economic indicators. Am I making more money? Can I afford a house? Is this economic growth being shared equally by everyone? And how likely am I to be making more than my parents? Oh, look, we're arriving to the 1950s.
Here we go.
So it's the 1950s here in America, and I, the middle income earner, have just returned from fighting in the most devastating war of human history. But we Americans came out on top, and our economy...
I can't believe that there are soldiers who go and put their life on the line for 4 to 8 years who have to come back and work a real fucking job. I genuinely believe that if you do your time in the military, when you come back, you should be able to relax and enjoy your life. Because having to detransition from being in an active military zone to a normal human being is fucking insane. And so expecting our soldiers to be able to re-immerse themselves into society while being treated like cannon fodder is insane.
is booming. I work in this car factory. It's one of the many factories that was converted from making weapons to now making valuable stuff that we're shipping around the world. Our country is getting rich. I am making an average income. So my income right now is $4,400. In today's money, that's more like $41,000. Yep. We're going to adjust everything for modern dollars, in this case, $20.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Prices are higher these days, so our money's more valuable to make it all make sense. Hey, wait, pause. I'm not going to do that every single time, like talk about the inflation. I'm just going to say everything from now on in modern dollars. It'll allow us to compare a lot easier between the decades.
Thank you,
okay,
sir.
With that, let's get all the magic going again. Pretty cool, right? Let's meet my family. So my wife doesn't work. Only a third of women did back then. And really, she doesn't need to. My factory job supports the whole family.
$41,000 a year supports your wife and 3 kids, guys. Guys, $41,000 in today's society isn't even enough to eat at McDonald's every day. That's insane.
And look, I own that home. I paid $84,000 for this thing, again in modern dollars. That's actually not that much more than my yearly salary.
Jesus.
This is considered very affordable.
Holy
and a major reason
fuck.
why is because the government is helping me pay for a lot of this.
Guys, I guarantee you there's less than 1% of chat here who owns a house and it's not on a 30-year interest loan.
And they've got the cash to do it. I mean, look at the top tax rate for the rich. So a booming economy and all this tax revenue means that the government is helping build all of these suburban homes and is giving us veterans good deals on mortgages so that we can get in on the prospering U.S. economy, start building wealth by owning a home.
Our returning serviceman who was starting his own business would get a financial boost from the government. Our money would be advanced to buy property or a home.
We're coming out of World War II. There are absolutely lots of public programs. Policymakers today and back then had a lot to do with how typical workers and their families were doing.
Okay, so the economy is booming. Let's see how all of this prosperity is being shared. And for that, I'm going to show you this amazing graph. I love this graph.
Okay.
We're going to see it over the decades, and it tells a very useful story.
Okay.
This is my income, the median earner. Here's the income of the top earners, and this line is the low income in America. And down here is like years.
Yep.
Okay, watch what happens. Ready, go. Look at this. Look what's happening.
Okay.
All three of these income brackets are increasing their income at the same rate.
Oh, that's great.
We are all getting in on this prosperity.
Well,
we are
that looks
sharing the
amazing.
spoils of a booming economy. Nice.
In the roughly 2-3 decades after World War
Okay.
II, we saw what I would consider broadly shared prosperity. As the economy grew, as workers became more productive, workers across the board were actually seeing gains in their living standards.
I
This
own
is a great
several
indicator
homes.
that income equality
Hey,
in the
good for
United
you,
States
man.
is
Nobody
good
else
and
does.
healthy. Okay, last thing for the 1950s. Let's check in on the American
1950s was
dream.
pretty good,
Can
huh?
I move up the ladder? There's a really nice data set
pretty
for this
good.
that says that I am nearly 100% likely to earn more than my parents. There is upward motion in the economy.
Yep.
The American dream is alive.
Amazing.
At least for me, which is an important caveat here. Women were mostly left out of this economic version of the American dream, and so were people who weren't white, like Black Americans, 10% of the population, over 1 million of whom fought in the war, but upon returning were met with these custom maps that were drawn to determine where they could and could not buy homes.
Yeah, that's
They
crazy.
were largely left out of all of this government help that allowed me to get education
That's
and
actually
buy a home
crazy.
and build wealth. But if you're just looking at the numbers, the 1950s was a really good time for the median income earner.
Sure.
You could have a family, work in a factory,
Yo, W's
and
in
be
chat
loaded
for
with
black people.
opportunities to move up the economic ladder, thanks to a booming economy and a bunch of government programs. So now let's move forward in time to the 1970s.
Okay.
Welcome to the 1970s. A lot has changed. The economy is producing a lot more prosperity to go around, as you can see by this graph. And we'll see
Seems
how that's all
good.
being distributed in a second. But first, let's check in on my pay. I'm still working in a factory. I now earn about $66,000. That's an improvement from the
Pretty
50s.
good.
Or should I say we? Like millions of other women, my wife has entered the workforce. They still only earn
Oh.
60% of what men do, but look, they're breaking into the workforce.
There you
Nearly
go.
half of all women are going to be working by the end of the decade. Partly as a push for freedom and economic autonomy, but partly as a necessity. It's becoming harder for a family to be supported by a single earner. The result is that our income is better off than it was in the 50s. But things are also kind of expensive right now. Inflation
It doesn't matter if you go from making 40,000 to 60,000 if everything you can buy has gone up by 3x, 4x. So if your income goes up by 10 to 20%, that's fine. But if everything that you can buy goes up by 800%, then it doesn't matter.
is up, partly because there's war in the Middle East and they're cutting us off oil, so there's long lines at these gas stations and everything is more expensive. Anyway, check out my house. I had to pay $230,000 for this house. Housing is getting more expensive, and the government is raising the interest rate to slow down inflation, which is
From 2 years to owning a house to now, that's about 3.5. Ooh, almost double the price of the house market.
making my monthly payment a little more expensive. Home purchasing is becoming a little less accessible to the median, but I still
Yeah, so this looks like on average a 25% increase in income to a 380% increase in the housing market. Not really a good look now, is it?
still have this cool house. Okay, let's go back to this super useful graph that tells us how the economic spoils are being shared.
Okay.
Remember, that's me, the median income earner. And look, my income continues to grow at the same rate as the high income and low income earners
Yeah.
in our country. The growing economy is being shared by these different income groups. It's actually pretty impressive how tight everything is moving together as the economy grows. Oh, and look, they've started collecting data on how much more CEOs are making than the typical employee. Looks like by the middle of the decade, it's about 26 times more. Wait, are CEOs making
Jesus.
too much? Is that bad? What do you think? I don't know. Let's keep an eye on this chart as time continues.
26
We can
times a
assess
normal
if we think
worker?
This is unfair. Okay, but what about the American dream? How easy it is to make more than your parents? Well, if I'm an adult in the 1970s, it means I was born in the 1950s, which according to this data set means I'm 80% likely to earn more than my parents. I mean, pretty good. The American dream seems to be doing pretty well. So I would say that economic life in the 1970s is better for the median earner than it was in the 50s.
It's crazy because the 1970s is so much better than our current generation, but even this seems bad. 1950s seemed great. Seemed awesome. You know, I mean, obviously it sucked for black people, but man, being a white man back in the 1950s must have been awesome.
And something that we're not covering here because we're looking at the cold hard data is that there's also a revolution happening that's making it more equal and more fair for minority groups in the United States. So these are good trends. Let's see how they continue as we move on to the 1990s.
Guess you guys aren't ready for that yet. But your kids are gonna love it.
To get to the 90s, we have to go through the 80s
Yep.
and look at all of this economic growth. The president has been very busy slashing taxes, getting rid of regulation and social programs, and rejiggering the economy to benefit businesses, making it harder for workers to like gather and get leverage over their employers.
Okay.
Ronald Reagan, the actor?
And look, we are arriving to the 1990s. What a great decade.
Okay.
Hi, me again. I'm out of the collage world.
Hey.
Because I gotta tell you about the sponsor of today's video, because if I didn't have sponsors, I wouldn't be able to make videos. Thank you, Saley, for sponsoring today's video.
Oh, bro, I love Saley. Definitely try them out. Dude, use his code Johnny Harris for a 15% discount. Bro, amazing. I'm going to go use code Johnny Harris right now. Yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
The 1990s. The big standoff between the United States and the Soviet Union is over, and people are stoked. We enter the 1990s with this little recession. We're getting ready for a big surge of more growth thanks to the rise of the internet. Remember, I am still playing the role of the middle income earner, okay? So it's not like I was like born back in the 50s and I've been growing up. I am a young adult who is the middle income earner. How am I doing? So I still work at a factory. America is still a manufacturing powerhouse here in the 90s, though that is literally right about to change. I wish I could warn myself. My household brings in $76,000 a year, which is definitely better than the 50s and 60s, but you can kind of see that things are flattening out. And in fact, I'm not making that much more than I was in the late 70s. Check out my cool 90s house. Cost me $273,000. That's almost 4 times our yearly income. Way more expensive than in the 50s. Housing is getting...
Was that the video or is there someone screaming in my house?
That's almost 4 times our yearly income. Way more expensive.
That was the video. Okay, I couldn't tell if that was the video or someone screaming in my house. I mean, even still, the 90s and 80s seem roughly the same, so not too bad. This, to me, makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I can now cope with the idea. Okay, work 4 years. 4 years of your income will go towards your house. It's a hell of a lot better than the current gen of 30 years.
Than in the 50s. Housing is getting a little less affordable. Okay, the economy's doing well. How are we sharing all of this economic prosperity? Remember, we started back in the 50s and we saw how the high income, the low income, and me, the middle income, we all saw similar growth in our income gains. We all got in on economic growth equally. That continued through the 70s. But wait, look what happens right here.
Uh-oh.
Whoa. They're diverging.
Uh-oh.
It's around the 1980s when you see the top earners start to...
Ooh, yep. Uh-huh. Just wait till they find out about OnlyFans girls, man. Man, ooh, this is not a good look.
Pull away from the rest of us. Their income is going up faster than mine. And my income is going up a little faster than the low income population.
They're fucking everybody beneath
that's
them.
Unsettling. I liked it more when they were all kind of like on top of each other, growing at the same rate. We'll keep an eye on this graph, but there's a bunch of other graphs starting to come out. Another divergence happening on how productive the economy is versus how much I get paid. They're both going up at the same time. I'm more productive, I get paid more, cool. But around the same time, the same split happens. My pay starts to flatline, even as productivity continues to go up.
So then there's this period that
Work
starts
more,
around
earn the same.
1979
Fuck that.
in the early 80s, where
Fuck that.
we see this pulling apart between economic growth.
How did we get fucked 35 years ago? We never saw this shit coming and we haven't fixed it yet. And it's only gotten worse. You know what I mean? Like, how did we let America get to the state that it's in right now?
And what typical workers and their families receive from that economic growth.
So who's getting in on all this extra productivity? This growth that's happening in our economy, if not me? Well, let's check in on those CEOs. So remember back in the 70s, CEOs were making like 25 times more than the typical worker. Kind of seems like a lot. Let's see what happens here. Oh my God, look at this.
Jesus!
Okay, whoa, by the end of the 90s, CEOs are making almost 400 times the typical worker. And I thought 20 times was a lot.
Those at the top are
Holy
receiving much
fuck!
larger shares of that growing economy than those at the middle or at the bottom of the wage distribution. So that
Why are
pulling
young
apart,
people so
that
angry all the time?
increasing
Boomers going on their
economic
89th
inequality
cruise? I
is
know,
apparent
right?
no matter how you look at it. That pie is going increasingly to the very top.
Okay, but
Here's how we save the planet, guys. We take everybody above the age of 70, and then we kill them all. And then we take all their money, and we distribute it to everybody else. It's so easy, man. It's so easy. You know, like they already had a good run anyways. And then bada bing, bada boom, everybody's fixed. It's so easy.
isn't inequality often seen as a byproduct of rapid economic growth? Could this be a good thing for our economy? Yes, people are getting really rich really fast, but it's because they're innovating and making our economy more productive. And plus, everything I've shown you is before taxes, guys. So like the rich pay a lot of taxes. Okay, so let's see what happens.
Yeah, Twitch is going to be very upset for me for saying that, considering that their youngest employee is probably 85. But trust me, they'll tell you what the kids want on their platform.
To the income of the rich people after taxes. Here we go. Oh, okay. Well,
Yep.
the taxes didn't do that much.
Yep.
There's something going on here. The rich are getting really rich really fast. I mean, what these lines all show is that 1980 was kind of this inflection point in our economy, where the top earners
Jesus.
kind of started to get in on most of the prosperity. And yes, there are economists who argue that inequality isn't bad for an economy. It actually spurs growth and investment into the economy, and eventually that raises all boats. It trickles down. And advocates for this way of thinking say that we shouldn't focus on inequality, but instead on poverty reduction. Okay, poverty reduction? How we doing? Poverty plummeted after World War II, but you can see that at this time, in like 1980, when inequality starts to get really
World War II was in 1939 through 1945, by the way. Just thought I'd inform you guys.
bad, poverty basically stays the same, goes up for a big series of years. So this is concerning, and this is my interpretation of the data. I'm sure some of you have very different interpretations, and I would love to see you down in the comments. Anyway, let's check in on the American dream. America's all about big risk, big rewards. So yeah, inequality's happening, but like if you can go from rags to riches, maybe that's very American and okay. If I was born in the 1970s, I'm now an adult in the 1990s, and the data says that 59% of us born to the middle income will out-earn our parents. So that means that 40% of my peers here in the middle income will earn the same or less than their parents, even as we are seeing all of this economic growth. I mean, you can see this trend here. The American dream of being able to move up the ladder is becoming less and less a reality for a bigger and bigger portion
Jesus.
of the population. Okay, so that was a big change from all the trends.
They're going to blame that on me because I was born in the 1990s. They're going to somehow blame that shit on Tectone. They always do, man. They'll always find a way to make it my fault. They're going to say, you were born in 1993. What happened to the economy, man?
Let's see what
What'd you
happens
do?
next.
People assume
What'd he do?
that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly,
Do we have depression yet, guys? Do we have depression yet?
timey-wimey stuff.
Okay, we're moving into the new millennium. America's
Here we
fighting a
go.
couple of wars. The economy's actually doing pretty well until, whoops, whoa. The bankers got a little loosey-goosey for a couple of years, making obscene amounts of money and crashing the entire world economy.
Fun.
But okay, let's move on from the biggest recession of our time. We're arriving to the 2010s. This is a world that most of us are familiar with. Let's see how the median income earner fares.
Here we go.
I don't work in a factory anymore. All of those jobs have dried up and been shipped to Asia. So I
China.
now work as a middle manager at an insurance company, and my household income is $81,000 a year, which is, wait a minute, same as 1997.
Oh, guys, here it comes. Everybody's about to realize that I was right. Beginning of the stream, we all fought over this shit, and the more into this video we go, the more we're going to realize that I was right, guys.
But wait, during this same 13-year period from 1997 to 2010, the economy grew by this much. I mean,
Yep.
that line's going up The economy's making more stuff. There's more prosperity.
Yep.
Even when you adjust for inflation per capita, the economy grew. There should be more to go around. But
Yep.
my household pay is the same as it was 13 years previous. Why? Well, we'll see in a second. But first, let's talk about my house. I always love talking about my house.
Great.
Look at this beauty. I can
It's a
still
beaut.
afford a house. In fact, here in like post-recession America, housing prices are actually pretty low. The bubble
Great.
burst. Interest rates had to go down to stimulate the economy.
All right.
And so home purchasing was actually pretty accessible for
Okay.
a few years. But don't worry, housing prices will be back on the rise in a second.
Fun.
And in fact, they'll start rising faster than my income, making housing less and less affordable. And homeownership still seems to be available mostly for certain groups and not as much for others. In fact, that hasn't changed much since the segregation days.
Yep.
Meanwhile, I think I know what's going to happen to this graph. Yep. The rich are just getting richer faster than my income is going up. And my income's kind of stagnating. Okay, what about the CEOs? Did they pay a price for the big bubble person? Nope, they didn't.
Nope.
I mean, they kind of did up and down, but they're still, by the end of the decade, getting paid hundreds of times more than me.
Yeah.
Maybe they think they are hundreds of times more productive and they deserve it.
Makes no fucking sense.
I mean, you get the point on the inequality stuff. This is what we've been hearing about for a long time. All of these graphs have the same shape. This great divergence that happens in the 80s, where the economy is growing, but
What does a CEO even do? Sit in a chair and tell you what to do and then sip martinis. That's pretty much it.
the wages for the average person just kind of flatten while the top earners just sort of get in on all of that prosperity. Okay, but the American dream, you can climb the ladder, right? So if you're born in the 1980s, which I was, you're now an adult in the 2010s, and it looks like for the median earner, the majority of us will earn the same or less than our parents. Yeah, this is a problem and probably doesn't seem fair to a lot of people. But wait, there's hope.
Star Trek, Terminator, Time Cop, Time After Time, Quantum Leap, Wrinkle in Time, Somewhere in Time, Hot Tub Time Machine. Hot Tub Time Machine.
Okay, I'm back. 2025. That's when I'm making this video. So that's modern day.
This is you, chat. This is you. I bet everything's so good in 2025, man. I bet everything's so good.
We went through a pandemic. The economy kind of got freaked out for a little bit. And the median income earner actually started to see some gains after
we
years
go.
and years of flatlining. So you do
right.
see some potential movement here, some hope. But let's get back to the original question that we started this video with. Is the average American better off now than they were back in the 50s and over these decades that we talked about? In a lot of ways, the answer is yes.
Really?
Especially if you are a woman or not white, then the answer is yes, at least.
The racial buff has fallen off. So let's quit fucking yapping. Because currently our world is the best it's ever been for all genders and all races. White men fell off. They did. White men fell off. They did.
In terms of economic opportunity. But what we've seen on this journey is that the American economy has produced an incredible amount of prosperity and growth over these last
Here's how you win, guys. Just sexually identify as a black woman, and then you get every buff, guys. It's so easy.
7 decades. And that was shared broadly by all of us for a time. But in the last 30, 40 years, the data is very clear that the fruits of the economic growth these days have not been broadly shared. One group is collecting most of the growth. And I didn't even talk about wealth, like the stuff you just own and how that makes money. We're talking just about income on this. Now, this isn't the first time that we've been in this situation. The top 10% collected almost half of all the income way back in the early 1900s before World War II. But we changed that. Look. And the income starts to be distributed more equally.
Yep.
But this graph tells the same story. Look, 1980, boom, here it goes. We're back.
Jesus.
We're back to where we were. Now, does this mean that our economy is broken? No, actually. Our economy is not broken. It is working exactly how it was designed to work.
Jesus.
And this and this and this and this, it's the result of changes to the rules, policies that end up determining who gets the money and who doesn't. These policies are made by people that we elect, And if we don't think that this is fair, we have the power to pressure them to design a system that is fair. Now, the medium income earner doesn't have nearly as much power these days. The top income earners and the corporations have really gotten their foot in the door for the people who have the power to set the rules. So it's harder than ever. But this still is a democracy. And if we don't think a system is fair, we still have the power to pressure our politicians to change it.
Yeah,
and
they
it's
won't.
not actually just about income inequality. Yes, that has
Yeah, they
risen.
absolutely won't.
The rich get richer much faster. It's also about the American dream, this idea of being able to move up. If you get educated, if you work hard, as inequality has gone up, the American dream has gone down.
True.
These graphs are built on robust data, and this is the story that it tells. The rungs of the economic ladder have gotten wider and wider apart. And that American dream,
fuck.
ironically a term coined by a rich investment banker born into a rich family in New York City, that dream is looking more and more like a myth.
Yep. And this is exactly what I was telling y'all about how $1 million ain't what $1 million used to be. It's harder and harder and harder for people to survive. And the everyman's dream is more so a myth these days in America. And it's a fucking shame, man. And the problem is, I'm too uneducated to know how the fuck we fix it. Maybe we do just kill all the old people and we take all their money. I don't know, maybe.